Okay, thank you, everybody. And I am proud to be joined by my colleagues in leadership, Senators Durbin, Murray, and Stabenow, as well as our great Vice Chair of Propes, Senator Leahy. Now, as you know, Leader Pelosi and I met with President Trump this morning about the funding the government passed next week. We gave the President two options that would keep the government open. It's his choice to accept one of these options or shut the government down. You heard the President. He wants a shutdown. He said, quote, "I'm proud to shut down the government." Here's what I'm going to read his quote, if any of you happen to miss it. "I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck. So I'll take the mantle. I'll be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it." That's what he said. Plain and simple. No president should ever say he would be proud to shut the government down. Let me repeat that. No president should ever say that he would be proud to shut the government down. He's clinging to his position of billions of dollars for a wall. President Trump's position will not result in a wall, but instead it will result in a Trump shutdown. The President has called for a shutdown at least 20 times since he came into office. We told him his plan can't pass either chamber, so we gave the President two reasonable options. First, pass the 6 bipartisan appropriation bills and a one-year CR for the Department of Homeland Security only, or pass a one-year CR for all the remaining bills. Both options could easily pass both chambers. We made a few additional points to the President as well. First, we believe strongly in amply funded border security, including fencing, drones, and other technologies, which experts say is far more effective than the concrete wall. Second, we reminded him that the Congress passed $1.375 billion for border security last year, but the administration 1 year later hasn't even spent the money. They're asking for a lot more. They haven't even spent what we gave them last year. And we also told the President that elections have consequences. We said, Mr. President, if you shut down the government, Leader Pelosi will pass a clean CR in January to end the Trump shutdown and put responsibility in Leader McConnell's lap. To conclude, if President Trump wants to throw a temper tantrum ahead of the holidays and cause a Trump shutdown, it'll be solely on his back. We hope he chooses one of the two reasonable options we gave him, and that the country can avoid a Trump shutdown. And we hope that Senator McConnell will help. Senator McConnell just here said he doesn't want a shutdown. Well, he can no longer sit on the sidelines. He's got to persuade President Trump to take one of the two options we offered. This idea that he has nothing to do with it as majority leader of the Senate doesn't stand any scrutiny at all. So, bottom line, we've given him reasonable options. He should choose one, avoid the shutdown that right now he seems to want. Senator Durbin.
I want to thank Senator Schumer and Leader Pelosi for this message. The American people do not want a government shutdown. They want us to come to a bipartisan conclusion of this session in a sensible way, and we've given the President those options. There's one encouraging sign that occurred this morning, and that is the decision by Senator McConnell to move forward on the criminal justice reform bill. This is a bipartisan measure supported by the President, by the Vice President, by all of the leaders in Congress of both political parties, save Senator McConnell, who said he's still studying it. But we believe it has strong bipartisan backing. I've spoken to Senator McConnell and to Senator Schumer about this measure. Our goal is to get this done quickly, to move to it as quickly as we can, to consider amendments if necessary, but to pass the bill that has strong bipartisan support. I've been at this for 5 years for criminal sentencing reform, and I think we've reached that magic moment where we have bipartisan support of police, law enforcement organizations, as well as civil liberties groups and civil rights groups as well. This, I hope, will set the standard of bipartisanship. And in just an hour or so, thanks to her good, hard work, Senator Stabenow is going to give us that chance on the floor.
Senator Murray.
Well, thank you. It's pretty clear that Republicans have a very clear choice right now. They can listen to the people across the country, take a lesson from the results of the election, and get through this year without completely unnecessary political fight. Or they can ignore the people they represent and this year the way that they have governed for the last 2 years with another completely unnecessary partisan fight, gridlock, and dysfunction. This may be exactly what President Trump wants. He said as much this morning, but it is not what our country needs. Democrats could not have been clearer. We oppose President Trump's wasteful wall. We reject his divisive rhetoric and scare tactics. We don't think it makes any sense, and we don't think it would make us any more secure. And we don't understand why he is asking American taxpayers to pay for it after he promised again and again Mexico would foot the bill. So I join Leader Schumer, Leader Pelosi, and my colleagues in calling on Republicans to make the right choice now. This morning, President Trump said he would be proud to shut down the government if he can't get billions of dollars from American taxpayers for his wasteful wall, and that he would take the blame if he did. Well, he's right about who would be to blame for a shutdown, but it shouldn't come to that. There's absolutely no reason for a Trump shutdown or another crisis. That is not what America wants. It's time for Republicans to stop it. Thank you.
Senator Stabenow.
Thank you. First, I want to thank Leader Schumer and Leader Pelosi for clearly and distinctly indicating the fact is that the president has a choice as to whether or not he wants to shut the government down, and he clearly said today that he is willing to do it and take responsibility for it. The last thing American families need is a government shutdown right before the holidays. The last thing that our hardworking federal employees need is a shutdown that would cause them not to be able to receive income and wages before the holidays. The last thing families traveling need, whether they need a passport or they need other kind of services before the holidays, the last thing they need is to have a government shutdown. And I will tell you that as we go to vote on a farm bill in a very short time, which I'm very proud of that we were able to do on a bipartisan basis in the United States Senate and work with House colleagues, when we pass that, we will immediately place in the Department of Agriculture the need to activate a number of things to help our farmers and ranchers. Trade promotion in a very unstable trade environment globally right now, support on conservation, commodities, other things. And if the Department of Agriculture can't do that because of a government shutdown, it will be one more time that this president has turned his back on our farmers in rural America. It's time to get this thing done.
Thank you, Senator Stabenow. Our Vice Chair of Appropriations, Senator Leahy.
Thank you. I want to thank Leader Schumer and Leader Pelosi. They laid out a very, very clear way that we could get a bipartisan vote in the House and the Senate to get the rest of our appropriations bills done and keep the government open. Now, before the elections, we passed about bills on a bipartisan basis that paid for about 70 to 75% of our government. I was asked by one of you in the press after Senator Schumer and Leader Pelosi met with the president, have I ever seen anything like this in my experience? I said, I've been here 44 years. Been here with 8 presidents, Republicans and Democrats. I've seen 7 presidents act responsibly. They have never done this. This is the only time I've seen anything so irresponsible as a president say he wants a government shutdown, which would result in over 380,000 employees being furloughed without pay. 430,000 would have to work without pay just before Christmas. TSA agents, Coast Guard, even the Secret Service who have to protect the president at his golf course. This is irresponsible. If you saw it on a comedy show or you saw it on some television program, you might think, okay, this goes over the top. Well, it does go over the top. It's irresponsible. Republicans and Democrats are willing to do what we did in the other appropriations bills, pass them, keep the government open. Only one person in America is asking for a government shutdown, and that's Donald Trump.
Questions?
Should we take what we saw in the Oval Office as a preview of how you plan to approach this president in divided control government?
Well, you have to ask the president that. The meeting was originally supposed to be no press, just a discussion. He called in the press and began his long diatribe. Didn't want to listen, wanted to make his points. Of course, we would be happy to sit down and talk with the president and come to some good bipartisan agreements without sacrificing our values. But what you saw today, unfortunately, is what led to the president's defeat in November after doing it for 2 years. I hope he changes. We asked him to accept one of those two proposals, and he said he would think about it. Yes. Senator Leader Pelosi and I wanted to give him some options that would keep the government open, and we did. And yes, Leader Pelosi and I talk regularly all the time. We work very well together. I told you we decided there were two options, and we would offer them to him, and we were sure either of them could pass both the House and Senate, which his proposal cannot.
Leader Schumer, did you get the sense that this was legitimately a good faith negotiation or just a television moment from the other side?
Well, as I said, when they came and asked for the meeting, they said no press and we'll just have a candid discussion. We came there, they let in the press, and the president went on a 10 or 15-minute diadiatribe.
Leader Schumer, what about, do you still support the $1.6 billion for border fencing, and does Leader Pelosi support that? Have you had a conversation?
The 1.6 we believe could not pass the House. The two options we made are the better options to go. Thank you, everybody.